Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dot to Dot. And today we're going to go through some of the locations that are on the east side of the island, east of the Nolan's Cross, and show you the connections between those locations and how they basically integrate into a solution to going to the west side of the island to do to locate and to discover the things on that side of the island. So anyway, I'm going to try and get through this the best I can, and let's go to Google Earth. And I'll explain to those who don't know what this is. This is the left side of what we call the Rochefoucauld map. It is a map of Oak Island, handwritten, of course, and it is showing various locations throughout the island that I believe and others believe that have something to do with how to access what we believe is the vault under the earth right here. It's not written out completely here, but it's actually in French right here, vault under the earth. And also to find out what else is here. Maybe there's a treasure by the oak entrance, which we call the money pit, but we don't know. So it is accessed. And if it is ever accessed, and I hope it will be. But anyway, let's get into this. And if you remember my last video, I gave you an explanation of the midstone pointer, the mid pointer stone, I should say, and how it's extended. If you didn't watch that video, you might want to watch that now and understand the reasonings behind these colors. This blue color represents the small scale, which is 1347, which is on the Rochefoucauld map, and this whole length from the end stone to the north anchor is that distance. And it is very mathematically correct in that the distance from here, which is part of Nolan's Cross, when it's doubled, is that number. And if you watch the last video I did, it will explain it completely. So anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the south anchor, the oak entrance, or the oak, I should say. We already have established the north anchor, and we're going to look at the triangle of Peter. So before I do that, let's put up, just for everybody to see, this is the entirety of the Rochefoucauld document. And what we were looking at was this blown up. And here is the 1347 in French, where we get what we call the scale distance, the blue scale distance. But and over here, I've gone over this quite a few times, is that this here, this compass rose, it is basically there to not only give you an established relationship between the top stone and the oak entrance, but also it establishes the mid pointer stone and the extension triangle. And that was through this map here, where you can see that we have the relationship here, and we have the relationship here. And so basically what we're saying here is that the Rochefoucauld map on the right side is basically for the construction and the location of all the points on Nolan's cross and establishing Nolan's cross. And now that we have that established and we understand the 1347 scale, we will then go ahead and put on, because remember, these scales are on the ends of these blue lines on the Rochefoucauld, on the Nolan's cross. So we have the end stone circle, and then we have the north anchor. Now you can see that we have a relationship between the north anchor, or the end stone circle. It, of course, goes through the north anchor because it's the length of the radius. But we also have the hole under the trap door, and we have one through the oak entrance. But these are just one references, one line, except for the north anchor and the end stone. We have a reference of Nolan's cross itself, which establishes 2 points or 2 references to those. So they're set. So what we're going to do now is we're going to focus on these over here today. And one thing you can look that is very interesting about the Rochefoucauld map is there's lots of little, what seemingly seems to be just haphazard kind of lines, and they really don't make sense until you really analyze them. And what I'm speaking of is, see how this line is very straight and how this one is just like a worm, wobbly. But they all have, most of them have these little V's, And just to bring you back before, it was actually Oliver at Oak Island Research who discovered something about a V that brought us to that compass rose, but I digress on that. But that's what the point I'm making is there's a lot of nuances, a lot of clues within things that just seem randomly not relevant. And I'll show you this in a second, a lot of those. But let's start here. We want to establish the south anchor and the oak entrance and the relationship of the triangle of Peter to the top stone, which we already saw, and develop the kind of thing that is going to give us some kind of clue on what this map is trying to tell us. And so let's start off here. Is one of the things, this V, it is a pointer to where this line, and that's what this is denoting here, this north-south line dropping down into the south anchor dot. Now this is directly a north-south line from the extension triangle point. That's why that was one of the reasons why that's so important, because it develops the west side of this, basically what's going to be a rectangle, and it is a north-south reference to the south anchor, so you can get that. Now, one thing that's different from this map and this approach is this line here, or this arrow, which is the arrow that says the oak, enter here. If you notice that there's this circle here, but this is pointing at what I would call a tangent. So this is he's representing this as a tangent point. So there's going to be a tangent. And in geometry, a tangent is where a line intersects a circle at one point. So it's establishing, he's going to establish with a tangent line one point. And we can roughly say it's about right there. And I don't think this is to be exact. These are clues showing you the geometric relationship between these two, or these locations that are listed here. So basically at that point, we understand that this right here is a north-south line. We're going to understand this as an directly east-west line. And that will become clear in the next line, which is through the triangle of Peter, which we had already established on the other with the compass rose. So we have that going to the top stone to the triangle of Peter. Now, we understand this as a rectangle by these two parallel lines. And here's what I'm saying here, suggesting is this triangle of Peter is the clue to the geometric relationship in what we're trying to do here. So you can see here's the triangle, and this one is sort of like the inverse. So it's right here. So let me put that on, and I have to basically get this overlay a little bit down here so we can see what's happening. So basically, this is what the triangle of Peter is telling us. It's telling us that this line, this 45-degree line, which is basically denoted by this arrow and the angle of the triangle here, is such as this one. And that is the triangle of Peter and its function according to what's going on between the oak entrance and the south anchor. And of course, the 45,522 point is right there, right up here. And I'm not quite sure about the 45,522 point. I know it is 522 feet from a place in between there, which is 1,065 to the chamber. I understand that, and this seems very logical that it would be that. I don't know if it's right there or if it's actually at the south anchor vertical north-south line. And this is why it would be very convenient if it was all the way to there, and that you could calculate this, because if this whole distance right here from the oak entrance to this distance right here, north-south line of the south anchor, was 522, well, these sides, or this distance and this distance, would be 1/2 of that times the square root of 2. So just a point, this 45,522, it's off about 16 feet. And that would mean either Nolan's Cross would need to go to the east, northeast a little bit more, or that the oak entrance would have to come to the west a little bit more. And that would not really disrupt anything, especially if Nolan's Cross was moved, because everything is in reference to Nolan's Cross. So everything would move together and the calculation would be the same. It's just the locations would be changed a little bit. And I'll make that point. You know, these are not this is not so much a location formula as much as it is a process formula and how to find these places. It's not, it will, if when you get the correct coordinates for Nolan's Cross, it will definitely be more precise in its location qualities. So I'm going to put that back up here and continue on. So we have this arrow. It's pointing either to this north-south line, or it's pointing to the 45,522 point. I'm not quite sure. It's such a fat line, but I know it is establishing one thing, and that is a point of intersection for this this east-west line. And by the way, it does bisect within a couple of feet the distance between the oak entrance and the south anchor. So it is bisecting, and that tells me that it is an indicator of basically the location of this east-west line is proper. So if it wasn't bisecting it, then I would say that it's either got to go north or south to get it to bisect. That's an indicator. So anyway, I wanted to also show you guys that, you know, throughout all these little lines, they are indicating areas of interest, and they are associating the things they are attached to those locations. I haven't yet really understood all of them, but we have here the line that goes to the north anchor, and this I'm seeing as being associated with the Triangle of Peter. So if the Triangle of Peter was, say, being described here, where this corner would be the oak entrance, it may be describing the 7-degree angle that goes up to the north anchor from the oak entrance. And that is in our base data, Nolan's data. I'll just put that up here. Here's Nolan's data from the Nolan survey. And this is Nolan's data here that comes off of the survey that is, and also the 1937 survey, which is this one. So the 1937 survey overlaid on top. It takes a while for that to upload. So what I'm saying is that line on is basically this 7-degree line that comes through there from the triangle, stone triangle, to the north anchor. So here's a question. Is the stone triangle actually the Triangle of Peter? I don't know. But it seems to have an association with it according to these little clues that we're getting on the Rochefoucauld map. Yes, this is Fred Nolan stuff. We can revisit this for just a second since it's up. You know, these are all the stone piles that he surveyed, and some of these lines did not associate with anything in the what we were doing with this theory here, but this was most likely done before the Nolan's Cross was discovered. because Nolan's Cross is nowhere to be found on here. But these lines we followed, and this I did, I don't know, probably 6-7 months back, and it conformed to what I had already had, which was the geometric progression. And it was this extension triangle with this rectangle here. Those are earlier videos, but we get to see how Nolan's Cross actually, or Nolan's data actually confirms the south anchor and the oak entrance. And here's the circle, of course, from the distance, the 1347 distance, which is in our units, it's 1445. But yeah, that's cool. I haven't put that up there for a while, so that's Fred Nolan's map and the 1937 survey of the Stone Triangle, the original. So let me take those off, go on to what we were doing before. And that's that we're looking at the information that is on this on the Rochefoucauld map, and mostly on the island. And so far, this is what I can ascertain from the clues that are given within this. And notice how this author, a lot of times, he's using tangents. He's using circles and tangents in order to describe a point. And I find that very fascinating and very clever, actually. There's things in this that do not seem like they're of any significance. They're not, but I think that's part of the clever way this is done, in that nothing is glaringly pointing you into a. You have to look at it and draw from an intuition that this is what it's saying. It's just not going to jump out at you and say, hey, go here. It's something you have to look at and, in a way, sort of imagine. And it's, here, let me show you. It's not really that you're imagining it, because it is there. And it's a way, it is interpretive. And we have this line that comes straight down to the Triangle of Peter. Here's one. And Oliver and I had looked at this, and why this was angling here. Well, if you just doodle and take a line and draw it, you find that it pretty much lines up with the south anchor. Now that's interesting, because now we're locating the south anchor, and we've pretty much verified where the oak entrance is through the 1347 circle, and now the 45-degree line and the east-west of the south anchor. So we've located the south anchor, and the next step in why this is connected with the Triangle of Peter, or with the Triangle 2, is that, let's see, where is it? When we use the south anchor to, let's see, where is it? When we establish the south anchor, we put a circle around that, and the next thing that we locate is Triangle 2. And these pin markers aren't in the exact spot. So Triangle 2 and south anchor have an association, and that is basically the second point that locates Triangle 2. Now Triangle 2 is going to assist us in finding the valve, mostly the valve. And the hole under the trap door, that is going to be established by the 2130, which will come into play after we get the, well, it'll come next. It will come next. And it's the second scale, which is 130. And it has a lot to do with the extension triangle again, because this is going to be the center of that. I'll just put it up. See? The extension triangle is what gives you the second reference to the hole under the hole under the trap door. So by locating the south anchor, we get triangle 2. And why do we need to locate triangle 2? Because triangle 2 will come into play on the valve, and that is the most elusive one, and it will take another video for me to explain that. But the valve and the hole under the earth are key to accessing whatever it is underground. It has to do with the flood system, most likely. It has to do with maybe something that actuates something kind of a hydraulic, either deactivating a flood system or opening something. We don't know, but a valve is a mechanism that is a fluid mechanism that changes the direction of pressure, water pressure. So what that will be, we don't know. I'm pretty much certain that it probably is underground, but it not necessarily be. And I believe it's going to be accessed through the hole under the trap door. So that is what triangle 2 will help us do. It will help us locate this. And it is not as straightforward as this, I'll tell you that. Anyway, let me show you, let me clear some of this up and show you guys the different associations with these little nuances that are these lines. I know I'm going to have a lot of naysayers about this, but for instance, here is this one. And if you remember, this is there is an intersection of circles, okay? And actually, I just had it up. Intersection of circles, which is offshore, which helps locate the valve. And you can see that that is associating with the valve. And then we have the triangle 2, which not perfectly, but associates itself with the crossed end stone. And we have another indicator of the mid pointer stone on the other side. And then we have up here the hole, and the hole is associated with the end stone. That's where if you remember, that's where its emanation point was from the end stone. You had that up there, didn't we? Let's see. Remember, so that's the center of the end stone right there. So that's associated with that little. And then you can see that this one has an association to the valve. It's not on the line, but it's in that V, and it gives this pretty much the same direction. I think you're getting the gist of it. It's it's not that it's, and then we have another indicator to the top stone. The top stone is very relevant in this map. And then we have an indicator to the headstone. And we have an indicator to the oak entrance and its relationship. That's interesting. The oak entrance and its relationship to the, I guess it would. This is the basin. So the basin would be, yeah, the basin. That's where the water comes from the flood system, goes to the oak entrance. So I guess that association is right. And then we have another one to the top stone. So the dam and the top stone. So I don't know exactly what all these associations are, but you can see that we're not too far from having to imagine that there is something going on here. And whether it's relevant or not, it's not quite clear to me. And I think it has to do with the associations of these different locations on the map. It gives you clues, not only where they are, but what their function is. And I know that's a lot. I know it's a little speculative, but I don't think I'm reaching too far, especially with the location of the South Anchor, the Oak Entrance, and the Triangle of Peter. I think we have plenty of support, not only through Fred Nolan's data, but in the other perspectives of this map we've already investigated. So that's it for this side of the Nolan's Cross. And my next video, I will get more into the hole under the earth, the valve, and its association together, all these together with the Triangle 2, which is basically where you start. Triangle 2. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. You start at Nolan's Cross. You're going to start at Nolan's Cross. Nolan's Cross is basically where everything emanates from. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and didn't get too overwhelmed and confused. But it's very interesting, and I think it's coming together to a point of where, I don't know, I always think that I'm almost finished, but I'm usually not. Have a good day. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.